Hi. So Thursday, oh, cut. Glad I can edit things. So this week at work on Thursday, one of my coworkers asked me if my move to the country was religiously motivated. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to get back to him and kind of answer his question because the answer is kind of both. Um, but over kind of the last couple days over Sabbath, I've started feeling like God wants me to record a video and kind of explain why I'm moving. So I have no idea who's supposed to see this. It may be you, it may not be you, but we're going to go through it, and then I'm going to get back to the normal gardening videos and tactical philosophy videos. Yeah, stuff to review later. Um, so, yes, I'm moving from Austin, outskirts of Austin. So basically, big city, way out to 20 miles from the closest grocery store out in the country. Um, Part of the driver for this move is my wife wants a single floor house. She's tired of running up and down stairs. And that alone would not be enough to justify us moving. I want more garden space. You see my garden update videos. I have my gardenable area is 0.02 acres in back, and it's kind of shady. I can't really do large numbers of onions, so I'd like more space. And kind of between those two things is enough, I think, to justify the move. In addition to that, I'm a pretty conservative guy, in case it wasn't obvious, and I'm living in a very liberal city, and I'm getting tired of my tax dollars being used to support whatever cause the city council has that I usually disagree with. Another thing is, frankly, in looking at world news, as the time I'm recording this, Russia invaded Ukraine somewhere around 6 months ago, and the U.S. has spent huge amounts of money in military hardware given to Ukraine. Guns, bombs, rockets, all of that. And I kind of wonder how long Russia's going to see their boys coming back in body bags killed by U.S. weapons paid for by U.S. tax dollars delivered on U.S. ships before they say, hey, we're really at war with the U.S. and decide to go that way. In a conventional war with Russia, like we escalate a little, they escalate a little, back and forth. Ultimately, yes, the U.S. would win. We're three times the size. We're twice the size. We've got three times as many aircraft carriers or pilots trained, 10 times as much because we can pay for the fuel. So ultimately, in this war of slow escalations on conventional war, yes, the U.S. would win. Russia knows that, and if they decide that they're tired of the U.S. being, killing their people essentially, which we are now, they've got 6,000 nuclear weapons. And in a nuclear war, Russia actually would probably win. I don't think they've got the boots to invade the U.S. They don't have the naval power to cross an ocean to invade. But they could make probably 100 million Americans die overnight. And being outside of a city makes you outside of a target area. Side note, this is an awesome book. Highly recommend it. It's not your normal like prepper fantasy novel type thing. This was actually written in the 80s by a guy who had been studying the effects of nuclear radiation, nuclear bombs, blast zones, that kind of thing, for the U.S. government. So it's an exceedingly well-researched book. Highly recommend it. Even if you're just interested in history, it's a really interesting read. If you're just interested in science, it's a really interesting read. If you're worried about warheads falling out of the sky, it's probably the best book to have. So they're like $15 on Amazon, and you can actually get a free PDF because most of it's open source. Another thing where theories, or what I've been seeing in the news for the last year, or last couple of years, mostly run up to the last presidential election in 2020, was a huge number of riots. Most of the violent riots have been downtown in the middle of cities. The farther out you are from downtown cities, the safer it gets. Yes, we had a protest in Pflugerville on the first day of the kind of the first day of the BLM riots and this BLM Antifa in the last escalation, but that was completely peaceful. I was actually even there. That was before things got violent, and that was about what I think was a case of a police officer making a bad call and shooting somebody that they shouldn't have. It had nothing to do with race. It was about a very specific incident. So yeah, I went to the Pflugerville one. Kind of slightly off topic. If you're going to a organized riot, before going to church, wearing a suit for church, be really careful, because I came really close to having somebody hand me a megaphone thinking I was an important person to speak. So be careful. Okay, anyways. Another thing that's kind of prompting the move is money. At the moment, the house I'm in, or right before the market crashed, was probably worth a little over $500,000. It's probably still going to sell for somewhere around $440,000. I can pay off my mortgage. If I sell this place, completely pay off the mortgage, and I can buy the place I'm moving and end up mortgage free. I'm going to have a loan briefly while things shake out to cover during the move times. But once this is all done, I should end up with no mortgage, and that's going to be kind of nice. So from that perspective, for purely secular reasons, moving to the country makes sense. From a religious perspective, I think it also makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, let's just get straight into this. I'm going to start reading chunks of Revelation here. You're going to get a little commentary, and I don't pretend to even understand all of this, and I apologize, I'm not good at public speaking. So, jumping over to Revelation 6. This is John having a vision. We're just a little bit into this vision. A scroll has been produced. The Lamb is opening it, the Lamb being Jesus. So let me just get started. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow and was given a crown, and he rode out to conquer, bent on conquest. So, pop the first seal off the scroll, and we got somebody going out to conquer. Continuing, when the Lamb opened the second seal, I heard a second living creature say, "Come." And another horse came out, fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword. So we have the first rider goes out, bent on conquest. He's trying to conquer something. Doesn't say, oh, and he's armed with a bow. So armed dude going out to conquer. The next one is going out, and he has the power to take peace from the earth. Generally, the opposite of peace is considered war, so we've got this guy going out with the authority to cause wars and to make people kill each other, which is, once again, consistent with things that happen in war. So, step 1, conquer. Conqueror goes out. Step 2, there are wars. And we continue on to verse 5. When the Lamb opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. I heard what sounded like a voice among the 4 living creatures saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine. Pretty much everything I've seen says this is talking about an increase in price of food. It's a day's wages for 2 pounds of wheat, which is basically enough grain to feed a person for a day, or 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages. Barley is considered a lower quality grain, but still 6 pounds would feed about 3 people. So we're seeing for people, basically we've got food getting expensive. This could be the result of famine. It could be a result of the war, supply shortages. This line where it continues on and says, "But do not damage the oil and the wine." I've never heard a good explanation of what that actually means. I've heard some people claim this means the rich won't be affected, where like wheat and barley, kind of peasant poor people food, become really expensive. Wine doesn't. Maybe that implies certain things aren't affected, or maybe the rich aren't affected. I don't know, but definitely what we've got a case here of food gets expensive. Excuse me. Gotta hydrate. And anyways, continuing on. When the Lamb opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of, on the page, the fourth living creature say, "Come," and I looked, and there before me was a pale horse, and its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given the power over a fourth of the earth to kill by the sword, famine, plague, and by wild beasts of the earth. So we've got this fourth rider going out on the pale horse. Some translations say green. And he's got the authority to kill off a quarter of the world's population, or to kill a fourth of the earth. Given power over the earth to kill. And by sword, famine, plague, and wild beasts, we've already kind of gone through war with the second plague, famine with the third, or war with the second seal, famine with the third seal. Generally, that can, when you eliminate people from an area, the animals kind of become more dominant, so that may explain the references to wild beasts. Plague, disease is frequently something that you'll get with a war. Actually, if you look at the U.S. Civil War, there were, at least in the South, I think the deaths from disease were somewhere more than double the amount of death from combat injuries. In the North, it was about a 1-to-1 ratio. Disease versus combat injuries. So, plague being associated with all these things, with Seal 2 being the start of wars, 3 famine, plague and wild beasts killing a quarter of the earth kind of makes sense, but it gives you an idea of scale of these problems. Fifth seal, I'll be perfectly honest, I do not understand the fifth seal, as we're continuing to verse 9. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. The Seventh-day Adventist belief based on Ecclesiastes 9:5. The living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. I think it's King James Version. The Adventist belief is that dead people are completely unconscious. They're not off in heaven with harps and wings singing around. That specific belief, honestly, I haven't looked into it enough. But that's kind of not the point of this video. So, I might talk about that later. But anyways, just quickly running through this. When he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altars of... When he opened the fifth seal, I saw the altar, the souls of those who had been slain because of the word of God and the testimony they maintained. They called out in a loud voice, "How long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge them?" Then each of them was given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer until the full number of their fellow servants, their brothers and sisters, were killed just as they had. So once again, we've got basically people who have already been killed interacting. I don't understand this. I don't pretend to. If anyone has thoughts, add them into a comment. I'd like to hear what you think. Thoughts, not arguments. I know Adventists like to argue every chance they can about their beliefs, but if you've got something productive. Anyways, moving on. I watched as he opened the sixth seal, and there's a great earthquake. There was a great earthquake. Keep in mind, that's going to be important later. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair, and the whole moon turned blood red, and the stars fell to the earth as figs dropped from a fig tree shaken by a strong wind. The heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up. Every mountain and island was removed from its place. Worth noting, islands moving, there was a great earthquake. Sounds kind of related. Anyways, then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, slave and free, hid in caves among the rocks and mountains. They called, and the mountains and rocks fall on us to hide us from the face of the one who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of their wrath has come, and who can withstand it? Just kind of a little point here. Talking about people going into caves and hiding. From somebody in John's time, this could be talking about things like NORAD command, which is basically a city built into a mountain to withstand nuclear strikes. It could be talking about people taking cover in subway tunnels, things like that, which was actually something people did during World War II in some areas to try, bombing raid, get underground. So anyways, I know kind of traditional Adventist opinion of this is that this is talking about different phases in the church, from the initial going out on a white horse being like 1st century AD, and then the rest of these seals being different stages in the history of the Christian church. I'm not entirely sure I completely agree with that. We're going to flip over to, let's just looking at my notes, Matthew 24. Sorry, I'm a little slow here. I should have just put a bookmark in here. Okay, Matthew 24. Starting in verse... Okay, we'll just start in verse 2 because I'm talking too much anyways. Do you see these things? He asked. Truly, let's start in verse 3. As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming at the end of the age? Jesus answered, watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but do not be alarmed. Such things will happen. But the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Just kind of a quick translation note where it says nation and kingdom there. The original would have been one of them, kingdom as in country, government, organization. The other word used here actually meant more like ethnic group. So part of these, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. To modern Americans, kingdom and nation sound like the same thing. The original Greek words here would have actually meant, it would have sounded much more like country will rise against country, ethnic group will rise against ethnic group. And whether that's related to the riots we saw in the last year, it's in the ballpark. Anyways, there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. So what we've got there is nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. So potentially conflict. Oh, sorry, let me jump back a little bit. There will be wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and there will be earthquakes. Honestly, this sounds to me a lot like what we were seeing in Revelation 6, where you initially have someone going out to conquer, war, famine, death, and then finally earthquakes in that sixth seal, mentioned a great earthquake. If I flip over to Mark chapter 13, Okay, we're going to verse 7. Okay, let's just jump straight to verse 8. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places and famines. So we've got the escalation in Revelation, where you basically have war, then famine, then earthquake, which is seals 2, 3, and 6. In Matthew, we've got war, famine, earthquake. In Mark, we have war, earthquake, famine. I don't know, maybe Mark was just kind of didn't have his coffee that morning and wrote it down out of order. But we seem to have a very similar thing. And I think these verses, kind of the parallels between Revelation 6 and then what's in Matthew and Mark with the same war, famine, earthquake, makes me think that what's in Revelation isn't some figurative historical progress of the Christian church starting the first century up through now. I think that's much more likely to be an actual thing. So when they're talking about, what was it, fourth seal, quarter of the earth dying, I think that means out of the roughly 8 trillion people in the world, 8 billion people in the world, I think that means about 2 billion are going to die, roughly a quarter. And that makes me kind of not want to be where things like that would happen. The key drivers here are war, famine, earthquake, so that makes me want to be someplace that's not worth fighting a war over. Out in the people fight wars to control cities for the most part, not to control random pieces of countryside. So being out in the middle of nowhere that's too low of a population density for an army to waste time on, not being near any sort of strategic target that would be worth dropping nuclear weapons on, seems like a good place to be. We famines listed here. Being able to produce my own food, having enough land to grow crops, seems like a good thing. Then we also get mentions of earthquakes in all of these. Frankly, not living right next to a fault line seems like it would be good. Not sure. With a great earthquake that moves all the mountains and islands, I'm not sure how much where I am is going to make a difference, but I can at least try not to be near fault lines. So, kind of in conclusion, I've got enough reason to want to move for a purely secular, non-religious perspective, but also from a religious perspective, I think there's enough reason to move. And I've been looking all over the place. I've looked at Oklahoma, Northeast Texas in the Tyler area. I've looked at the San Antonio area. I've looked at potentially moving to Tennessee. Arkansas, I've very briefly looked into that, but every time I'm in Arkansas, something bad happens, so that didn't get a whole lot of consideration. And every place I looked, God pretty much slammed the door in my face until I went to the College Station area. I visited that church, and it was one of the best churches I've ever been. Amazing people. I can't wait to get involved with them, get to know them better. And then as I'm looking around properties, the place I'm looking to buy, like everywhere was a bidding war. Properties were off the market before I could even see them. And then this place that I'm looking to buy near College Station, the builder actually said, like, we'll just take the first offer somebody gives us at asking price. So I didn't have to pay $100,000 more than asking price or offer $100,000 more than asking price like it was having in most places. I could get it right at asking price. And that really felt like God was opening the doors to put me there. And then there's enough stuff in here to kind of justify moving to the country anyways. So hopefully my place will be ready by the middle of next month. They're talking closing on the 15th, if not earlier. So we'll see how it goes. there'll be a couple more videos about that coming. And hopefully after this, I'm going to resume the normal Friday garden updates and the tactical airsoft philosophy videos coming out on Tuesdays. But it just felt like this is something I needed to say. Thanks for sticking around for the whole thing. Okay, one last little thing. I know a lot of people say you don't need to worry about things going bad in Revelation because God is a God of love and He'll take care of His people and all that. And that may be true. It is true. But at the same time, God gave us a prophecy. He gave me resources to move. He gave me apparently insight to do this. There's no reason to tempt fate and be lazy and stay in our comfortable lives when God has given you a prophecy saying, hey, bad stuff's going to happen. You should not be there. So, yes, God will take care of His people, but He may have be taking care of us by giving us a prophecy, brains, the resources to actually do the move, and the ability to take care of ourselves, or take care of ourselves using the resources He's already given us. So, yeah, I'm moving.